Okay, I think that's the end of 1 minute. So again, welcome to our webinar for today. My name is Jean-Bertrand Contina. I'm the research director for the Rodale Institute Midwest Organic Center, where I oversee the research activity as well as outreach and education across the Midwest. So today, webinar, the title is the use of cover crops on no-till organic production in the U.S. Midwest, a case study with dry beans in Iowa. Uh, Before beginning, a little of housekeeping. So for this webinar, you can hear me, but I can't hear you. And during this presentation, if you have any uh, problem with the audio, please click the audio setting on your screen. And also, please, at the end or during the presentation, if you have a question, please list them in the Q&A and not in the chat. And also for the Q&A at the end of the presentation, use the Q&A button on your screen to send your questions and I will answer them. And if you have other problem hearing or watching this presentation, please call Mr. Justin Barclay, our education manager, so he can assist you. And this recording of this presentation will be posted on our website in about a week. So that's it for the housekeeping. So for this presentation, I would like to go first, tell you a short story about Rodale Institute. This is my first seminar. So I started with Rodale about 10 months ago, and my background is the plant pathology. So I did research on potato cyst nematode and also on rust disease uh, at Oregon State University and also at the University of Idaho, where I completed my dissertations. So for these presentation, the contents we're gonna follow with a short story about Rodale Institute and also talk very quickly about the farming system trial, which is a very important at the headquarter. And we'll start introducing you about the Midwest Organic Center that we have here in Iowa. And then we're gonna enter into the discussion of a dry edible bean production and rolled down rye, where I'm going to outline the benefits of cover cropping, the objective of the study that we conducted last year, material and method, results, conclusions, and also I will be talking about our education, consulting, and outreach program across the Midwest. And then I will expose our future direction and research and education. And finally, to finish with the acknowledgement to our funders and supporters. So for those of you who are not familiar with Rodale Institute, so Rodale Institute was founded in 1947 by Jerome and Anna Rodale. So the headquarters is in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. Uh, Mr. Rodale was inspired by Sir Albert Howard, early founder of organic movement, where they're kind of prone to use composting organic methods, like kind of reviving the old organic system back in the from the past. So with Mr. Rodale created the Rodale Institute. Formerly, it was known as the Soil and Health Foundation, and then later on, it was converted in Rodale Institute. And also, he created the Organic Gardening and Farming magazine back in the 60s and 70s, where he explained all the research that he was conducted in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. And with him, the term organic started to be popularized in the US. And currently, Rodale Institute has several regional research centers across the nation, in California, in Iowa, Georgia, Washington, Pennsylvania, and Italy. And basically, Rodale Institute is conducting research in organic farming, and also we assist the farmers through organic consulting and also education where we publish and educate the farmers about the result of our research. And the equations, the motto of the Rodale Institute is healthy soil, healthy food, and healthy people. So this is a picture of the Rodale Institute main campus in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, where a famous trial has been conducted for over 40 years, the farming system trials. And these farming system trial, what they're doing is comparing organic system versus a conventional system. The organic system composed with legume and manure, and they compare the result with a conventional synthetic system to see the differences in soil health improvement over the year. So basically, the decade-long research of the farming system trial showed that there is an increase in soil organic matter compared with the conventional system where we have high microbial biomass, diversity, and activity, while we have a significant reduction in soil compaction. And also we saw a 30% higher yield, especially during time of extreme river and drought. And the organic yield matched the conventional yield for cash crops such as corn and soybean. And also other things that they have identified is organic management, increase water infiltration, improve soil physical and chemical property. So this the decade-long research has significantly showed that with an organic system, we have a significant improvement and the soil health. With an organic system, those are the benefits that we can derive from the soil, healthy soil. So we will have an increase in soil organic matters from the organic from the manure, from the green manure applied in the soil. You will also have an increase in soil organic carbon, which is kind of food source for the microbes that are living there. And also you're gonna have an increase in soil microorganism, especially the one that has fixed nitrogen and other nutrients, and also rise in a microbe that do control soil-borne disease, for example, Rhizoctonia, Fusarium, or other nematodes. I worked for some time with a biocontrol agent like Trichoderma asianum, and many of those biocontrol fungus and the soil do control and limit the prevalence of soil-borne disease in the soil. And other benefits is the increase of the availability of soil nutrients because you're gonna have an increase of population of microorganisms that will fix and decompose the organic matter and releasing the nutrients, but also the physical improvement of the soil in terms of water content, increased soil moisture, and also aggregate stability and prevent erosions. And one of the fundamental aspect in the soil is the soil aggregates, which is a composition of mineral soil particles, silt, clay, and sand, where microorganisms kind of wave through them and form those aggregates where important physical chemical reaction processes are occurring there from the nutrient availability for the plants, porosity, bulk density, all of those processes are taking place inside kind of a soil microaggregate. And also all the organisms are interacting them in the ecosystem between antagonistic microorganisms like uh, and the ones controlling those soil-borne disease like fungi, bacteria, and nematodes. Those soil aggregate create a unique ecosystem that kind of represent the basic item for soil improving a soil physical and chemical processes. So a little story about our research center. So the Midwest Organic Center is located in Iowa. It's exactly in Marion. It's about 2 hours from Ames and 2 hours and a half from Des Moines. So currently we are a 30-acre land that is leased to us by the Indian Nature Creek Center, where we are conducting research and educations, research basically and cover crops, diversification project, and long-term no-till vegetable productions. So our priority is kind of help organic and transitioning farmers to be successful through our consulting agents across the Midwest. And also to kind of sharing our results or experiences with different research that we are conducting at the centers. And our research is kind of targeting to kind of improving soil health and ecosystem productivity, improving water quality within local and regional watersheds, and also helping the rural community by supporting local farmers and local food sheds. Many times from our research experiment, when we have the parsley, our paper, we donate it to local food sheds. And also, we are working to increase biodiversity and also to mitigate and adapt to climate change by sequestering carbon through our different research and method practices. So this is an summary, the introduction for Regional Resource Center based in Iowa. So this is a Google map of the area that we are conducting research. So last year we only have 10 acre of land, but this year we have an additional 20 acre of land that we're gonna use this year and put into cover cropping. So last year we have the dry beans and rye studies, and this area we have the vegetable production system we have here, and also we have the corn fertility study. And this year we're gonna continue with some of the study while introducing a new study into our portfolio. This is a drone view of the farm. This is the rye and dry bean research plot that we have here. And over there, that is the vegetable garden we have here, the corn fertility study, and the crop diversification project that we have here. And currently we have a winter crop growing in the ground. This is the next 20 acre that we'll be using this year for cover croppings. This is our office right there at the barn. So a little about Iowa, where we are located. So in the plant hardiness zone, we are located in the region of 5A, where we can have extreme temperature between minus 20 to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So we do have a list of crops that are adaptable for winter cropping, starting from the cereal rye that we are having a good result and it is adaptable. And also we are trying new crops like canola, peas, in order to see if they can be adapted to these plant hardiness zones. And also most of our soil series, we have a good soil here. They fell into the Tama muscating series, so where we have the majority of our soil type is silty clay loam, but we do also have fine sandy loam, and sometimes our experiments kind of fall between those two soil types. And this is the staff at the MOC, the Midwest Organic Center. Myself, I'm a research director, a research technician, a farm manager, and also we have a research intern. And by the way, we have two open position this year for a research intern. So if you are interested to be part of the team and helping us collecting data in the field, you are more than welcome to apply. And also we have organic consultants, two organic consultants. One is it's based on the Midwest. Leah Verick with an expertise in cover cropping, reduced tillage system, organic row crops, small grains, and industrial hemps. And also we have Nicolas Podolz. He is located on the Great Plain and oversees this region, and his expertise is vegetable production, organic row crops, small grains. So they are offering a service to farmers, transitioning farmers or conventional farmers that want to transition to organic by providing them expertise on crop rotations, cover crops, etc. This is a table showing the certified organic farms. And as you can see, Iowa is in the top 10 states based on this survey in 2019. So Iowa represents a kind of a unique position for us as a Midwest Organic Center to kind of continue promoting and kind of inviting, helping a farmer, organic farmer, making their farm more productive and helping them, other farmers, to transition to organic agriculture. So Iowa is in the top 10 states and certified organic farms in terms of lands per acre, number of operations, and also in total sales. But also we do have other states in the Midwest that are close, Wisconsin, we have the Minnesota also. So the MOC is strategically located in this area, kind of to keep promoting farmers to transition to organic agriculture. And this is our research priorities as the Midwest Organic Center. So we are focusing on optimizing the benefit of cover crops in no-till system. Currently, we are using dry bedding, and it is also part of a bigger strategy to kind of diversify the Midwest cropping system and kind of introduce a new crop through the rotation. And also, we are working with organic vegetable productions where we are improving soil health using no-till practices. So we have those research block where we are compare no-till bed versus till bed and till bed with black plastic mulch. So to see improvement in the soil health over the year with a different vegetable planted. And this project started 2 years ago, and this year it's gonna be our third year for collecting data, and soon we're gonna have publications related to the organic vegetable productions. And also we have another project which is focusing on the alternative cropping systems, where we are trying to kind of introduce new crop that could be candidate to diversify the corn and soybean rotation with livestock integrations. Currently, we are in the phase 1 of this project where we are testing various spring crop, summer crop, and winter crop like canola, peas, sorghum, grain sorghum, amaranth, in order to see which one of those plants that can be adapted and also that can be included into a corn and soybean rotation in order to kind of enrich that system and diversify it, and also with livestock integration that will be with goats or sheep. And also we are also focusing on organic corn productions where we are optimizing animal manure application and looking at the soil fertility. We are looking about foliar nutrients, and also to kind of optimize the right amount of nitrogen we can apply, the right amount of the sources of the manure. It could be a pelletized chicken manure or non-pelletized. So we are working on this research in order to kind of optimize animal manure applications. And finally, we started to kind of write up like a sort of a proposal where we are working with establishing an agroforestry system here at the MOC where we have trees integrated with small grain production, pasture, and livestock. So we believe that agroforestry system is unique in kind of restoring degraded lands. So we want to take advantage in that and collaborate with other institutes like the Savannah Institute, the University of Missouri Center for Agroforestry, in order to kind of have a pilot study of trials at the MOC where we are integrating trees, pasture, and also testing the soil health over the year. So what are cover crops? So uh, basically when someone farmer finish harvesting the soybean or the corn over the year, so cover crops are planted like in the September in order to kind of to grow, in order to protect the soil from erosion and nutrient losses. And as you can see, this is a picture of a cereal root system. As you can see, it has a deep root up to 5 feet into the soil, and that's maintain the soil physical property and prevent it from eroding through water, and also kind of grab those soil nutrients and trap them into inside the biomass of the cereal in order to avoid leaching onto the ground, and also improve soil physical property. It also improve the water conservation and water quality. So the grass kind of grind the excess of nitrogen and phosphorus, and kind of avoid them to kind of leak into the aquifer. And again, I was talking the nutrient scavenging kind of captures the excess of nutrients, and also that increases the soil organic carbon because the root system, the rhizosphere, it's kind of secret secondary metabolites or secondary carbohydrates that kind of provide a food source for the microbes, and also those groups they're decayed, and also they provide active carbon for the microbe in the soil, and that also increase the microbial population. So the microbe is are alive during this period of winter, so they don't need to start from scratch back in spring. So we do have activities there in the soil. And also that's increased population of beneficial insect, and also control weeds. For example, through allelopathic effects, some of the weeds are inhibited in the soil, and the right provide control of weeds. And also it's increased the cash crop for yields because the following year when we planted the cash crop, so there will it will benefit from the nutrients that has been captured, that have been stored there, and also of improvement of the soil property like porosity, and also increase moisture content in the soil. So basically, those are why the cover crops are grown in order to kind of provide some agro-ecosystem services, and that ultimately will benefit and increase yield of the cash crop over the next year. And this is a map representing cover crop adoption in the US. So overall, there is an increase in the expansion of cover crop adoption in the US, and that keep increasing year after year. In 2017, around the 15.4 million acres were planted with cover crops, and some of the big states that highly adopt in cover crop adoptions are located on the East Coast, like in the Maryland, Pennsylvania, Georgia, but also some part of Iowa, especially in the southeast part, that are more common with cover crops. But overall, we are seeing kind of an increase of expansion of cover crops adoptions. So what is needed currently is farmer to kind of apply the best practices in order to kind of maximize and optimize the benefit they can get from adopting cover crops into this system. And this is a study that was published in 2021 that is looking at the 4 key soil health indicator that show kind of improvement with cover crops used over the year. So at the first year, you will not see kind of a short term, but over the year, you will see improvement in some of the soil health indicators like the active carbons, aggregate stability, respirations, and soil organic matter. And the x-axis, it's kind of show you the differential variation between fields that were planted with cover crop and those that were not planted with cover crop. So you can see the differential variation in the presence of active carbon, which is the carbon that's the microbe use for their growth and proliferation in the soil. And as you can see, over the year, you have a positive variation of the number of active carbon present in the soil compared to fields that were not planted with cover crops. So as you can see from 2015, it was a negative part, but 2016, we see an increase improvement in total active carbon in the soil. Same thing for aggregate stability, where those aggregate can resist the falling of rainfalls, so they don't disintegrate. So over the year, you can see there is an improvement in aggregate stability. Same for respiration, which is a, a proxy for estimating microbial activities in the soil, where over the year we have a kind of significant improvement compared to field that were not planted with cover crops. And same with soil organic matters. We see that over the year, we have a positive accumulation of soil organic matter in the soil. So that kind of show you that the cover crops do really provide some benefits in improving the soil physical and chemical property. And this is the effect of agricultural disturbances in soil organic carbon. So, and this is a study was published in 2013. So it's kind of show you, and the x-axis, the soil organic carbon, which is expressed as gram of carbon per kilogram of soil. And it show you the different system where they took sample and ran the analysis from a perennial grass to bare fallows. And as you can see, they measure the soil organic carbon at the top soil and at the bottom, 0.5 centimeter and 0.15 centimeter. And what they saw in the perennial grass, where there is zero uh, um, disturbances, we can see kind of an increase in soil organic carbon compared to a field that was no-till and residual return. And when we compare it with a chisel till residual return, we see that we have even less soil organic carbon compared with the no-till. So the no-till system is kind of approximates, kind of keeping track to be kind of like the perennial grass where you have a significant accumulation of soil organic carbon compared with the other system of till or Kiesel till where residue are removed, where we don't see significant, where we don't see a lot of soil organic carbon being accumulated in the top soil compared with the no-till and compare with the perennial grass. So that kind of show you that minimal disturbance or no disturbance in the soil kind of help promoting the accumulation of soil organic carbon, soil organic matter, which are kind of the food source for the microbes to proliferate. Same has been observed for the rather stable aggregates to see the consistency. So we saw in the best system, which is the perennial grass, no disturbances. high level of stable aggregates in the soil. But once you start with the tillage and the bare fallow, we saw kind of a significant kind of reduction onto the water stable aggregates. So minimal disturbances kind of promote the building up of soil organic carbon in the soil. And this is another study kind of showing you uh, the no-till, which is this line, and the plow-till, the dashed line, kind of show you that and the no-till, you have a more soil organic carbon accumulated in the top compared with the plow-till. So that's one of the reasons that no-till method has been kind of adopted and take, getting track in the US because of these benefits of accumulation of soil organic matter and soil organic carbon. So let's get inside the study that was conducted last year. So it was our first year. So we collected the data on the experiment that was conducted trying to see the feasibility of growing dry bean on broiler crimp rye. So the objective was to determine cover crop biomass based on the variety and the seeding rates of the cereal rye, determining the cash crop yield based on the seeding rates and tillage system, and to evaluate the prevalence of weeds in the field, and also to evaluate soil micrometeorological factors like soil moisture, soil temperature, and to evaluate soil nutrient content. So the goal was that kind of to optimize cover crop seeding rates and variety selection, trying to guide the farmers to kind of indicate them which variety are best for his field, for example, in Iowa, and also to kind of tell them which seeding rate is appropriate in order to kind of produce the appropriate biomass that will provide the maximum benefits in terms of weed control, soil moisture, and also to kind of evaluate the feasibility of dry edible beans productions and to model the influence of soil physical factors on crop growth like the soil moisture, soil temperature, bulk density, and ultimately to kind of educate the farmers on best practices for cover crop management. This is a picture of the ride that we had last year. It was taken in April 2022. And as you can see, this is a standing ride of the experiment that we had last year. And this is a methods we've used. So the cover crop that we use, cereal rye, we use two variety, the Andy Gardner and Aroostook, and we used three seeding rates, 1.5, 2.25, and 3 million seeds per acres. Um, it was planted on September 15, 2021, so it overwinter until the spring for roller crimp, and it was roller crimp and planted with dry bean on June 1st, 2022. And for the cash crop that was planted on top of the roller crimp rye, it was a black bean. The variety was a blackbird, and it was seeded at those different rate, 140K, 200K, and 270K. So it was planted at the same times the rye was roller crimp. So we had the roller crimp rye when planted with dry with black beans that represent the no-till system where we don't do any disturbance in the soil, and we had another one where we incorporate the rye residue into the soil and then planted with black beans. And this is an example of the rye coverage. This is a picture was taken in April 20, this one was taken in April 2022. The previous picture correction, it was kind of in May, and this one was a rye coverage in April 2021. As you can see, This is the coverage in the soil, and as you can see, the rye is kind of very well adapted and proliferated into the over the surface of the soil. And you can notice that the different density rates kind of give you a different coverage of the surface of the soil. So we measure some meteorological factors on the cereal rye. This graph showing you the date the measurement was taken. So soil moisture and soil temperature was taken using an Acclima sensor that measure the moisture at 4 inches deep in the ground. And the X represent the date and the Y axis represent the soil moisture. And also those box represented the variety that were used, the Arustock and the Andy Gardner. And also we have it segmented by soil type, the fine sandy loam and the silty clay loam. And the line and the colors represent the seeding rates that was applied. The vertical line represent the kind of the standard deviations of the data. So as you can see, for soil moisture, we started measuring that on May 2nd last year. And as you can see from May 2nd to May 6th, the soil moisture was equal. There's no significant differences between of those treatments. And as you get into May and the plants start to grow, the soil temperature increasing, we saw kind of a reduction of the soil moisture up to May 17th. And that coincide with an increase on the soil temperature. So we kind of monitor the soil a kind of meteorological factor that kind of promote cereal rye growth, uh, the root growth in the ground. So no significant differences that kind of was detected between those two soil type. Same for the soil temperature with the two different variety and the different type of soil. We also measure the cereal rye growth and development at Entasis, where we kind of count the number of tillers per acre and also the biomass production per pound per acres. On the x-axis that represent the seeding rates, the color represent the variety, Arustock and Andy Gardner in blue. So overall, there are some variation and the number of tillering per acre for the different variety. For example, at 1.5 million seed per acre, there is a clear differences between our stock and the Gardner. But overall, we saw kind of no critical significant differences between those two varieties. And same for the rye biomass, some minor variation in the seeding rate and with a dry rate, but overall, we didn't see any significant kind of differences between all those two varieties. This is an example of roller cramping. So the field was roller cramped and then planted with black bean. As you can see, this is the buffalo planter. And this is an example of the roller cramping the rye. But this is a different example. And this video, we were planting. I remember it was barley, so we were planted there. So it's kind of give you an example of how the roller cramper is mounted in the front and then in the back. We proceeded and planting the cash crop. Uh, this is a picture showing you the germination of the dry beans and the teal plots, as you can see, after 2 weeks of planting on the teal land and also in the roller cramp over the roller crimp, right? As you can see, the dry bean coming up, the mulch. Uh, Same here. And then back on August 2022, this is the standing black beans that you can observe and the roller crimp rye, and also on the till land. So overall, with the germination rate between the no-till and till, we saw a positive increase of a germination rate based on the as you increase the seeding rates. We also measure soil water content during the dry beans growth, comparing the no-till and the till system over the date from June to August, and we measure the soil water content. So in general, there is a temporal variations and the soil water content, but overall, you can see that the no-till kind of retain more water compared with the till system. And this is true for both soil type, the fine sandy loam and also the silty clay loam. Temporal variation, but also some significant differences in the no-till and the till system. Well, the no-till cannot retain more soil water content, soil moisture. And also, we didn't see any significant difference in soil temperature when you compare no-till and till, just temporal variations. No significant differences when we kind of analyze it for comparing the soil type. Electrical conductivity, we cannot measure that. Usually they use electrical conductivity as to measure the soil salinity level, but in our case, we don't have any problem with soil salinity, but also electrical conductivity is used as a proxy to see uh, much nutrients that the soil contain. And as you can see, comparing no-till and till, we kind of see that the no-till system kind of retain more nutrients in the soil compared with the till system. We also conducted extensive soil analysis, measuring organic matter, total nitrogen, and macronutrient and micronutrients. There's some minor variation, but not significant. For example, in soil organic matter, we kind of see that the no-till kind of accumulates more organic matter when you compare it with the till system. That is totally understandable as you have a more uh, cover and we have the mulch on top. And also we saw that the total nitrogen kind of was higher and the till system. It's kind of understandable because the material is being incorporated into the soil, then that lead to kind of rapid decomposition and rapid release and the total nitrogen. So we keep studying how to kind of optimize delivery of nitrogens through other research plots that we have here with the corn fertility. So soil analysis, we are very into this and studying that. And finally, this is the kind of the yield assessment of the dry beans that were grown. And as you can see, those are the two different soil type that we have at the farm. The silty clay loam, where we do have a much more yield of productions in and the dry beans that compare with the fine sandy loam, where the plants were kind of a poor, kind of a clerotic. And this is the graph showing you the dry bean yield and the two system, no till and divided into the two soil type. So overall, we saw kind of a minor increase in the yield based on the seeding rates. But what we observed more is that we had more yield and the till system than in the no till. Uh, Even though we only use one seeding rate for the till, but you can see kind of the differences between those two systems. So because of the soil type, and also it could be due to the excess of moisture in the soil and the no-till system that kind of might influence the yield that we are getting, and probably also the variety of black beans that were used. So we are keeping investigating this part of the research probably in the future to include a different variety of dry beans that are more adaptable to Iowa. So in conclusion, We saw no significant differences in biomass production between rye variety and seeding rates. Uh, no significant differences in yields were observed among the dry bean seeding rates. However, higher yield were observed for dry bean planted in till row compared to no-till. We saw nominal differences in rye biomass and dry bean yields were observed between the fine sandy loam and silty clay loam soil types, and kind of a high soil moisture was observed in Roller Creek Rye compared to Till Road. Uh, we did have some issue with weeds, especially after 6 weeks after the roller cramp and the planting of the dry bean. So for that effect, we use some kind of a row mower that's go through the rows to kind of minimize the prevalence of the weed. So this study is still on the way for this year. So we will continue to kind of optimize the seeding rates, the cover crop seeding rates, and also try different variety of uh, black beans. So for this year, we're gonna continue with this trial, combining seeding rates in till and no-till land. So we planted rye, Yandy Gardner last September 2022, and this is a picture of the cereal rye on the snows. You can barely see it, but when the snow melt, for example, on the January 16, compared to the January 6th, you can see that the rye is growing, is healthy, and also kind of maintaining the soil health, the soil structure, and reducing soil erosion. So we will continue doing our research on that aspect. So other project that we are involved here at the MOC is the alternative cropping system in the Midwest, where basically the objectives we are evaluating the suitability and profitability of various small grains from pulse crops. And basically, we are trying to find the crops in phase one that will uh, allow us to kind of diversify the cropping systems. So this project, we are continuing it this year and also over the year. So, but basically, the rationale for that, it's that over the year, the share of global harvested cropland that goes to directly to food kind of diminish over the year. So across the world, so we trying to kind of uh, grow food that will go directly for human consumptions. And also most of the soybean and corn, for example, in Iowa, it goes mostly for biofuel, ethanol production or feed for animals. So we're trying to kind of put food grade crop that people can consume. Same for the soybean, kind of diversify the system and provide direct human food. So, and other program that we have here is a field day that every year we organize, but also we have monthly field tours every month where we invite the public to come and see and visit our research plot and give them presenting our objectives and also and our goals. And this year we intend to organize another MOC field day on August 16. So people are invited to attend. And also, and last year in summary, we participated in 18 conferences, 7 webinar, 1 field day. We published 3 newsletter, 3 news media interview. We organized over 15 field tours, and also we reached over 1,300 participants across the Midwest. And from the consulting side, as of November 2022, 46 Midwest farmers are committed to transitioning a total of over 10,000 acres of land to organic production with direct support from our consultants. So we are making a meaningful impact with outreach and educations to growers and farmers across the Midwest. And also, this is a kind of a list of events that the MOC will be participating from the Practical Farmers of Iowa. We attended last week Marble Seed Conferences, up all the way down to Iowa Organic Conferences, where we will have a presentation and booth at those events. And we invited the farmers and growers to attend uh, those workshops and also presentations. And our future direction. So we are focusing on kind of optimizing the alternative cropping system study that we have here. We will continue with the no-till vegetable production, optimizing the cover crop management. We will start to establish by 2024 the agroforestry project, and we will continue with small grain variety tries, as well as expanding our education and outreach and collaborate with other institutes. So we would like to thank our sponsors and supporters and collaborators, Walton Family Foundation, Stranahan Foundation, the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship, OXO, the Indian Creek Nature Center, Co College, Clay Family Foundation, Frontier Co-op, Cirrus Trust, Patagonia, and the Greater Cedar Rapids Community Foundation for the support. And we also have a webpage for the Rodan Institute Midwest Organic Center. And if you are interested in our newsletter, please sign up and you will receive newsletter and also other events that we organize at the MOC. So without further ado, thank you for listening to the presentation, and I am open for questions. So I am gonna check the Q&A box to see how many questions we have here. Okay, I have a question from Rebecca. She's asking about planting into green cover crop post termination. Is there a concern about seedling pathogen? Will seedling leather into dry biomass help yield? Um, yeah, that's a great question. As we are doing crop rotation, we are not growing the same crop over and over the year. We kind of minimize kind of the soil-borne pathogens. So we are not too worried about that. Although it's a good question that, yeah, it could be in the if we were to maintain the same crop over the year, we will have kind of the problem with soil-borne pathogen, but with our system, we kind of limit that. And I have another question. What is a particular wet, dry year at your location? It was a relatively dry year at, at our location. Um, and the other question asks, were there any fertility applied to the cereal rye or the dry bean at planting? Uh, we did not apply any pelletized chicken manure for the cereal rye, but we did apply dry beans. We did apply pelletized chicken manure for the dry bean at a rate of 58 pounds of nitrogen per acre. Uh, Another questions, were the yield in the till plot in the line with average dry bean in that growing region? We in the till plot, yes, we kind of achieve more or less what we are kind of expected and in this region, only on the tilled version of the research plot. And I have another questions. Do the result of your study suggest that yield will be improved by tilling the cover cropping and that the increased soil moisture cramp no-till may reduce yield? Uh, don't have a direct answer for your question. This is our first year of collecting the data. And again, as I show you in previous slide, that cover crop benefits, it's kind of, you have to wait year after year for over a period of 3 or 5 years to see kind of the benefits, and for example, and active carbon, soil respiration, soil organic matter. So for the first year of the studies, it's kind of too early to kind of give you kind of direct conclusion in that. So more studies, more research need to be done in that aspect. And other questions. Do you face a problem with potassium and phosphorus deficit in the field? If yes, what did you do to solve it? Uh, Based on the soil analysis that we get, didn't face kind of a significant problem with potassium and phosphorus, because before after we planted the dry bean, we apply pelletized chicken manure at a rate of 58 pounds per nitrogen per acre, and we believe that's kind of take care of that. Okay, thank you for the presentation. I am interested in the internship at the institute. Yes, if you are interested with doing an internship with the institute, please feel free to apply at our website online at the Rodel Midwest Organic Center. You will see below a link that will take you directly to the application page where you can apply, and we will start reviewing the application as soon as possible. The other questions, will you be testing in the future using cover crop other than cereal rye? Yes, in the future, we are hoping uh, to use other cover crops like hairy veg or a combination of hairy veg with cereal rye in the future, and to test them too. Other questions, are you worried about salt buildup with chicken manure? Uh, I don't have an answer for that. That's a pretty good question. So I'll need to get back to you with that. If this is a precedent that you can have a salt built with chicken manure application in the field. I think I answered all of the questions, most of them, some of them I repeat. Perfect. So, thank you so much for attending this webinar. So this webinar will be available. It has been recorded and will be available after a week now, so you can rewatch it on the YouTube channel of the Brodel Institute. So, without further ado, thank you so much for attending this webinar.